Hello all. I have a vintage dress that has a mild repair that needs to happen. And it's not going to be an easy repair, but I'm not going to say that it's an impossible one. All right, so we're in the armpit and obviously we're on the inside. And you can see that the material is a very pretty woven green, gray, and I'm almost going to say like a moss green, light green, and it's a woven, and you can see that it is also coming all the way up into here, that it is starting to come away. You can also see that the original seaming included a white band. I'm assuming this is a stabilization technique, but you can see that it's also pulling away and unraveling on the inside right here as well. If we take a look at the other side, there's the stabilization again. And I'm not seeing anything problematic on this side. So I'm going to turn it around. And this is doing the same thing right here. According to the New Encyclopedia of Modern Sewing, 1943, on page 275, Chapter 12, Lifesavers. Clothes like people and plants respond to care and kind treatment. The law works in reverse, too. Neglect brings on a variety of symptoms from premature old age to complete collapse. Leave a snag in your stocking without first aid and it becomes an angry runner. Give it a stitch in time and double its life expectancy. That goes for the collar on your husband's shirt, the place that's wearing thin in the elbows of your dress, the tiny indiscernible gap in your hem, the small tear in Junior's suit. If you take care of your clothes today, they'll be here to give you service tomorrow. Today, when so many things are doubly precious because they're irreplaceable, this adds up to more than dollars and cents. It's plain common sense. We are now skipping forward to page 278, Mending Tears. To mend the three ordinary types of tears, the straight tear, the three-cornered tear, and the diamond tear, use a thread which matches the fabric as closely as possible. For woolens, a thread of fabric drawn from the hem or side makes a neat and inconspicuous darn. Darn on the right side. Do not make a knot, as there is no strain on fabric. To reinforce a worn place on a garment, cut a piece of fabric the same as garment, just a little larger than the worn place. Baste to the wrong side under the worn spot and cover the entire area as for darning a straight tear. Taking stitches through both thicknesses of fabric on woolen fabric. If a similar piece of fabric is not available, base a piece of net under the worn spot and darn as for a tear. Patches. When a hole is large, a darn would be too conspicuous and not strong enough. The hole should be patched with fabric the same as garment. Cut a piece from the hem or seams to obtain a matching patch. If necessary, fade the patch to correspond by washing in soap suds and baking soda, rinsing well and drying in the sun. A hemmed patch is the most usual. The least noticeable is an overhand patch. To make a hemmed patch, use threads of fabric as guide and cut away worn portion to make either a square or rectangle. Cut the patch 1 inch larger on all sides than hole after edges have been straightened. Pin the patch in a place under hole, right side showing through. Thread in patch must run the same way as those in garment, and any pattern should match exactly. On right side of garment, clip the corners of the hole diagonally about 1/4 of an inch. Turn in raw edges and baste to patch. On wrong side of garment, turn in raw edges of patch 1/4 of an inch and baste to the garment. Press. Stitch edges down by machine or blind hem. To make an overhand patch, straighten hole as for hemmed patch. Clip corners diagonally for 3/8 of an inch. Turn the edges under as far as possible, baste, press, measure dimensions of hole with edges turned back. Carefully match the grain and pattern of the patch and cut it 3/8 larger than the hole on all sides. Turn 3/8 of an inch allowance on one side. Press down. Do the same on 3 remaining sides. With the patch flat where crease comes to a point, cut off triangle of fabric. Put patch directly under the hole. It should fit exactly. Pin in place with pins at right angles to folded edges. Baste with small stitches at these points. On wrong side, whip patch to garment with tiny stitches. Overcast raw edges, remove bastings, press. Although the least noticeable is an overhand patch, this is not very strong and should be used only on fine fabrics where there is no great wear. One of the spots where there is most wear in a dress is at the underarm. Directions for a special underarm patch are given on page 157. Holes may also be cleverly hidden by means of an applique. Cut out flowers from a printed fabric or use original patterns or commercial transfers. Due to this not being actually my dress, I did not feel even remotely comfortable actually cutting a hole in this. Mostly the threads had pulled away and left a netting, which did not exactly leave an actual hole. Mostly it was just thread worn. So at that point in time, there's actually no structural integrity issues other than this is going to continue to unravel. So I decided to do a patch over the top of it. I tried to line it up the best that I could with the grain, but the truth is that this is directly underneath the armpit. So unless my friend is like doing the YMCA dance in front of people with her hands up in the air and pointing at her armpit, I'm not sure that this is ever going to actually be visible, which is fantastic. I also took a look at the inside of the dress, and anything that seemed to be starting to do the major thing that I was trying to fix here, I went through, took a thread, reinforced everything. I put the shoulder pad back in. I reinforced those two. I checked out the zipper. There were a couple of little points that were like a little finicky, so I went through and stitched a couple of things down right there. And I think that although this dress is showing wear and a lot of love, I don't see a reason that this cannot be continued to be worn after this. This is an actively loved, actively worn dress, and I am very happy to keep it in service. Now, obviously, if you're going to cut out a hole out of your material in your dress, you're going to have to cover it up. So I've taken a patch out of the hem, and then I decided to take some of my green satin, use my sewing machine to put her name on it, and then I covered up the hole with the patch. Hopefully she likes this. But I do feel that this patch is going to be most appropriate for keeping the integrity of the dress going as well as future wear and tear.